South of the Treasure Valley, fly like an eagle across the Snake River and over the snow-streaked Owyhee Mountains, rising to more than 8,000 feet. Here, a vast region known as the Owyhee Canyonlands comes into view. The Owyhee Canyonlands embrace 7,700 square miles in the southwest corner of Idaho, or 5 million acres, an area that's larger than Rhode Island and Connecticut combined. On this landscape, Owyhee County ranchers worked together with conservationists, recreationists, outfitters, Native Americans, and others on the Owyhee Initiative, a highly successful collaborative process that led to landmark legislation guiding the future management of these lands. This year, the Owyhee Initiative Group is celebrating the 10-year anniversary of the legislative milestone. Sponsored by Senator Mike Crapo, the legislation created 517,000 acres of BLM wilderness, 316 miles of national wild and scenic rivers, 200,000 acres of wilderness study lands released for multiple-use management, improved recreation access, enhanced protection of Native American cultural resources. Through the collaborative process, the Owyhee Initiative Group created a new human community of diverse interests to match the grandeur of the Owyhee Canyonlands.
Whether we're humans or plants, animals, we're all part of this. We're all on this earth together, and what we need to do is figure out how to manage and how to do the best we can with what we have. All of these people within the initiative are part of my community now, and I'm part of them. As long as we keep talking, as long as we keep working together, then we are successful.
This has been a gift, not only because it resolves some of the issues out here, but I have lifelong friendships that were developed that I never would have ever been able to have if we hadn't started something like this.
The common wisdom was telling us it wasn't working. And I think everybody at one point got to this kind of mental understanding, if you will, that the whole thing was a leap of faith, that we could make wilderness work out here, that we were going to put together this package, stay together to make sure it was going to get implemented correctly, that we weren't going to designate it and then go off and do something else.
They shaped the agreement in a way that preserves ranching and the economic way of life in Owyhee County. Work continues on implementing the Owyhee Initiative Agreement. There's still more work to do.
So that's what the Owyhee Initiative did, is it allowed those folks to understand what we required in order to keep a sound community, keep a economy in Owyhee County, and the things that are important to us and really important to the nation, because food and fiber is important to the nation.
How did they do it? How was the Owyhee Initiative Group able to bridge the sharp cultural divide between Boise environmentalists and Owyhee County ranchers?
And I still remember going to Murphy for when the county commissioners first launched the Owyhee Initiative. So they had a little public gathering. I remember sitting in the room with a lot of ranchers and big hats and other members in the community. But it was an exciting moment, right? It was the commissioners of Owyhee County saying we wanted to take a look forward. We wanted to be proactive. At the end of the meeting, as I was leaving, one of the old-time ranchers in the valley sort of walked up to me, stared me in the eye and said, "I don't trust you. I'll never trust you." I took that message and it sort of drove the Owyhee Initiative for me from that date forward, is how do we build the trust we need?
In the year 2000, Owyhee County commissioners and ranchers were quite shocked to hear about a national monument being proposed for the Owyees before President Clinton left office. The monument proposal fizzled, but in the next year, the Owyhee County Commissioner's trusted consultant, Fred Grant, reached out to ranchers and local environmental leaders to talk about crafting a long-term plan for the region.
We missed a monument designation just by a hair. So when I got that call, and I said, I'm always willing to listen. A little bit apprehensive, but told him because Fred asked, I said, absolutely, we'll give it a shot.
Okay, we've just dodged this monument. You know, national parks have been proposed out here, national conservation areas, wilderness, monuments. Something's going to happen here someday. And so Fred really wanted to head on say, okay, we want to be part of this solution. How do we do that?
In October 2001, they formed the Owyhee Initiative Collaborative Committee to see if they could hammer out a long-range plan for the unique landscape. There were 10 groups at the table to begin with. Building relationships was one of the first challenges for the Owyhee Initiative group.
You also have to appreciate why others love the same place. So it was important to be able to get in the room and maybe air some of those differences. And the thing that I found the most fascinating, when we sat down and started talking, you're just people.
At the outset, the group met twice a month for 8 hours at a time. Fred Grant had everyone sit next to strangers.
And start talking about, you know, what do we have in common? What do we have? What's our vision for this place?
They made small talk.
My kids had been to the same movie that Craig Herkey's kids had been to. Reading the same books, you find that we have a lot of the same interests, that we have your people that have a shared passion for the same place. And it's like, oh.
Before the meetings began, a small group had written a goal statement with the Owyhee County Commissioners. The goal statement calls for preserving natural processes that create and maintain a functioning, unfragmented landscape, supporting and sustaining a flourishing community of human, plant, and animal life. It also makes it clear that the long-term plan would have to preserve livestock grazing as an economically viable use in Owyhee County. These were the initial sideboards put forth for the committee. As time progressed, each group member shared their wants and desires. Conservation groups wanted wilderness and wild river protection for the Owyhee and Bruneau Canyons. Outfitters wanted to improve access for recreation. Ranchers wanted to ensure that they could continue running livestock on the Owyhee Plateau and maintain fencing and water developments.
And so we've been operating in wilderness study for years, which is sometimes more stringent than wilderness itself.
Black's summer range included Dick Shooter Ridge, the East Fork Owyhee River, Battle Creek, Deep Creek, and Pole Creek, all wilderness study areas at the time.
They came to that understanding of what we needed, and we came to a better understanding of what they were needing and requiring too. Because they were willing to come to my house and talk to me, that was big. You know, that was a big step for them and a big step for us, and the initiative was built around those type of interactions.
Turns out that they all valued the vast open space in the Owyees and the rich diversity of wildlife that lived there. Bighorn sheep, antelope, sage grouse, birds of prey, deer, elk, even spotted frogs.
I wake up every morning and love where I live and what I do. So what is it out here that makes your heart beat fast? And it's not all that different. It's because it's a special place.
A cornerstone for outfitters and conservationists was to improve public access.
More than once I told the group, what good is wild and scenic and wilderness designation without appropriate access? I have promoted and with the group's support, maintaining four-wheel drive, high clearance access to put-ins like on this river, the Bruneau, and at various places on the Owyhee, because if you can't get there, then it's hard to experience this part of Idaho. You know, this is some of the most remote country in the lower 48.
A shared love for wild sheep had a surprising benefit. Bighorn habitat maps provided the basis for wilderness and wild and scenic river boundaries in the canyons. and ranchers didn't want to graze those areas anyway, too steep and deep. After 5 years of meetings, in May 2006, the Owyhee Initiative Group hammered out a wide-ranging agreement that included the legislative proposal and follow-on management items. There were 12 signatures on the agreement. U.S. Senator Mike Crapo's staff had been participating in the collaborative all along. His staff helped keep them on course.
So we needed a sponsor from the Idaho delegation to say, okay, I can get this through, or good luck getting that through.
3 years later, in March 2009, the Owyhee Initiative legislation was signed by former President Obama. For Brenda Richards and Craig Gerke, the victory was sweet, considering both had experienced serious pushback from national affiliates.
Because we had so many people on the left flank of the conservation movement, and certainly I suspect on the right flank of the ranchers, saying, you guys are crazy, they're going to eat your lunch, you're going to lose.
I took a lot of tomatoes, or skeptical comments. Is yeah, right. Just give it 2 years, you guys will be done, and look where we are.
In 2011, the City Club of Boise gave the Owyhee Initiative Group the Dottie and Ed Stimpson Award for Civic Engagement. The mantra of City Club is, nothing happens until people start talking. The mantra of the Owyhee Initiative is, when everybody gives a little, everybody gains a lot. Now it was time for the BLM to implement the legislation. They put up wilderness kiosks, fenced off wilderness canyons, and worked on access management issues throughout the Owyees. The BLM marked roads and trails with numbers on the ground and on maps, greatly improving navigation for recreationists. With 200,000 acres of wilderness study lands released for multiple use management, ranchers had more flexibility.
It's kept those places in business to continue to operate the way we are. I think that's been the hugest economic benefit.
Rancher Dennis Stanford grazes his Angus cattle in a 6-pasture rest rotation system. One of those pastures is inside the Owyhee Wilderness. He runs cattle there from May to early August. Today, he's moving cattle onto a new grazing allotment on higher ground. After a snowy winter and wet spring, there's lots of tall grass on the range.
Oh, they're fat. The calves are probably 65 to 70 pounds heavier than normal right now, which is fantastic for what we do because we sell pounds of meat. Now that it is wilderness, we use a four-wheeler to build fence and haul salt. And if you need to go doctor a cow or need to get some kind of medicine there that you can't get there with a horse.
Stanford keeps track of cattle use with scientific range monitoring.
Since the Tongue Complex fire in 2007, we've been utilizing someplace around 15% on an average on all 6 pastures. You know, I mean, it's a win-win deal for everybody. I mean, you have fat calves and light utilizations.
There's still more to do to fulfill the Owyhee Initiative agreement. One of the main items is a science center to be located in Owyhee County that would house research and information about range management and stewardship.
That's still big on my agenda.
The Owyhee Initiative Group is partnering with the McClure Center for Public Policy to evaluate what remains to be done. In the meantime, the relationships built are leading to other broad-based initiatives such as the Idaho Rangeland Conservation Partnership and collaborative management of Rock Creek Ranch near Haley.
There's been a number of us throughout the group that have gone and talked to other people because they're very, I don't know if envious is the right word, but they're very interested in how did you do this? And first thing I tell them is you can't expect a quick fix or an easy fix, but you need to build those relationships. That's your rock solid foundation. So the best part is it gives people hope.
For more information about the Owyhee Initiative, go to owyheeinitiative.org.